Hey, we're back with another episode of Creating a Buzzworthy Business Podcast, and today we are discussing all things productivity and planning. To my right, I have a good friend here, Coya, who is a productivity expert who helps moms get shit done.
Absolutely.
Hey, friend.
Hey, how are you? I'm
Good.
so happy to be here.
Thank you for being here.
Thank you for having
I wanted
me.
to have a candid conversation with you about moms, planning, productivity. You and I both are mothers.
Yes.
And we know that is the hat that comes before all hats.
Absolutely.
And let's just jump right into it. So first, let's give the watchers a little bit of background about who you are, how you even got to this point. Give us a little timeline.
Okay, so as Dominique said, my name is Coya. I have been in the productivity, quote unquote, lane for maybe about 3 years now. But prior to that, I had a boutique about 5 years ago. And also with having the boutique, I moved to LA. I had my 2 young kids there. We had no help. My husband was there as well. But outside of that, there was not a lot of help. My husband was traveling a lot. And so for me to be productive, I had to be really serious about things that I did on a daily basis. And I was also really, really fighting during that time to become this woman that I wanted to be. I was just okay, you got to get your shit together.
Right.
Can I curse on this podcast?
You absolutely can.
Okay, all right, good, because I like to curse.
Yeah.
So I was you have to get it together. And so I was on that journey where I was just okay, got to get it together. You out here in LA, it's just, it's just y'all. You got to figure it out. There's no excuses. I don't give a fuck if you can't. If you don't have nobody to get the kids, whatever, you have to figure it out.
Yes.
So during that time, and I will say that I've low-key always been really good with planning, right? Mm-hmm. So I've always been good with writing stuff down. Even back when and I don't know where you're from, they gave you agendas in middle school and high school. So I used to, that was my favorite time of the year. So get a new agenda and write out your little things. Yeah, for free, right. And write out when you're supposed to be doing this and doing that. But I always struggle with executing, right? So the planning part was kind of always in me. All right, I know how to plan. I love it. This is so fun. I'm gonna have my markers out, all the different colors. Yeah, but I never was really good at executing. So when I moved to LA, I had my boutique and I was determined to really get it. It was already doing good, but I wanted it to do better. And then it started doing better. And then as it started to grow, I started realizing that I really enjoyed the back end part of running the boutique over the showing up and putting the clothes on. It's just all the things. So when we moved back home, I decided I was going to close the boutique and just put that part of my life behind me and move forward and really start helping other women push, execute goals that they have in their business.
Right.
So that's even how I met you. Because I was the first thing I'm going to do is go to this event that I went to. And then I met you there. Yes. And then from there, I was just okay, now what? What am I supposed to do now?
Gotta execute.
Yeah, now I gotta execute because that was a good plan. You did that, but now what? So when the pandemic hit, people started coming to me how do I do this? This happened, now how do I do this? And I started helping people and they started saying stuff and they started telling people and I kind of just got pulled into, having a whole business around this. But even outside of that, I've always shown people how I manage my kids' busy schedules and how I'm cooking, and I was always really good at showing my day-to-day processes, and I think that's what got women really intrigued. Wait, you're busy, you're super busy, and we are super, super busy, and it's how do you keep up with all of these things? So really, now I'm moving into a space where I am showing other women, busy moms, okay, you can do this. This is hard. It's not easy. I promise you, it is not easy at all. But you can live a quote unquote balanced lifestyle. And sometimes balance looks different no matter depending on which season you're in. And I think that's very important to know too. Like for me right now, I'm in this extremely busy season of my life, of my business, fourth quarter. And my business pulls on me a lot. Right. So I'm not going to be the best mom or, like having dinner on the table at 5 o'clock. Like it just doesn't look like that for me. But I think because I'm like really, really clear on like the things that are important to me, whether it's like my family, my work life, my personal life, which I think a lot of moms forget about that part.
Ooh, we gonna get to that.
Right. So I always circle back. So no matter if another part of my life gets busy at a time, that's fine. I'm in that season, but I always know.
Extremely amazing, everything that you share. My question to you would be, first off, because I think this episode will be geared towards a lot of moms, right? So when they look at you, you're like the superhero, because that's, or the shero, because that's how I see. I'm like, I'm a mom, my 2-year-old is controlling my entire life. So my first question would be for moms out there, even before you got to a space of balancing it all, what did it take for you to, like, emotionally to arrive there? Because we deal with things like mom guilt, relationship guilt. Like you said, you can't show up 100% in all these areas. So talk to me a little bit about like what work you had to do to even arrive to confidently be like, you know what, I'm planning all this shit out.
Yeah.
I'm not going to apologize for, being in all these spaces.
So I will say that in the beginning, it did not come easy, right? Because I was like, super mom, like after school activities, arts and crafts and things on the weekend and pumpkin patches and just like every single thing that was lit for kids to do. I was making sure that we were doing it. We were just having the most fun ever. And then when I decided to start focusing more on the business and me, I started pulling back from being able to do all those things, even like with my husband. So everybody was kind of like side-eyeing me a little in the beginning, like, what's happening? Like you're not the same. And it made me feel a way. I will say maybe for like a couple months, like when they would make like little comments. But I think what I had to do is really just kind of like, I pray a lot for one. So I'll wake up in the morning and I'll just say a prayer. I'll write out my intentions. And I'm like, I know I'm a bomb ass mom. Right. Like, regardless of, I may have fallen back a little bit, but the problem is, what I realized, the problem was I was too good of a damn mom to these kids. And I think a lot of moms are too good of moms, so that these kids expect you to do all of these things, and it's not fair. It's not fair to us, but it's our fault because we've like overcompensated for some odd reason. I don't know where that came from. And it's just like, it's not fair. It's not fair to us. It's not fair to the kids because I don't want them growing up. I read an article and I wish I could remember where it's from, but it said parents need to stop making kids feel like they are the center of their world. And it's because I know, because it's like, if I miss this game because I have to work, I miss the game because I have to work. I'm at all the other games. Get over it. You you are not the center of my world. I am. And so that's really how I talk to my kids these days. I'm like, fuck that. We went to Six Flags last weekend. You had your friends over at my house. Like, I'm not going to be here Halloween. I'm going on vacation. And I know we do family costumes every year, but not this year. So, but it was hard. It was hard at the beginning. I can't even say like, oh, I just was like, forget it. This is what it is. It used to hurt my feelings. Like in the beginning, like, dang, I guess I did. But now I make sure I balance it where I'm like, okay, this month we're going to do these things. I know I want to take them here and I want to do this. And that's enough. Like, that is enough. These kids have way too much. Everybody. Like, I'm over them.
I love it. I love the raw honesty of it because we're getting in a space now where social media is just talking about what the mom truly is feeling. You got the hashtag fuck them kids. All of those things happening. But when women used to, like, because I unapologetically spoke my truth. Like, even before my son was born, I knew what type of mom I was going to be.
Same.
It changed slightly. But I didn't want to have, like, I didn't want to lose myself. Right. Now, I would probably say
I was the same way.
A little bit. But in the back of my mind, like, that fuck them kids exists because it's like, I need a break, or I just want to eat my food by myself, like those types of things.
I remember having a toddler. That was the worst. I mean, that's what I was like, I cannot. People like, you want to do it again? I'm like, hell no.
Yeah.
Your food always being cold. Like, you were washing dishes and your son was right under your feet on it. Like, I do not miss those days. And what I want to tell you is it gets better.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
It gets easier. Yeah. Like, when they get older, like, my kids are 8 and 10 now. And I don't even see them sometimes. Like, I'm in my room and they're in their rooms. And, like, as long as I supply food, pizza, order, whatever, it's good.
Yeah.
It gets better, friend.
Thank you. I appreciate it. But no, let's talk about let's transition a little bit more to more of the business.
Okay.
So we have this bomb idea of productivity, planning. You got these women coming to you, they're watching you, playing your life, busy mom. What was the first thing you kind of did to create this business of yours? You know, going from a boutique owner, I'm sure that industry is a little bit different.
Right.
What tools or what journey did you go on to just create what it is now?
It's crazy because it's actually just now starting to happen this year. I think initially when I first came up, the name of my boutique was Her Closet. Mm-hmm. And Her Closet came around when I was like splitting with a partner. I wanted to do my own thing. It was kind of like a messy split up. Or a separation, and then I was sitting at work. I was working a corporate job so long ago. And I wrote down, I was just annoyed. I was annoyed with myself. I was annoyed with her. I was just annoyed with everybody. And I wrote down her on my little notepad. Mm. And I was like, okay, like this woman that I want to be is her. And so I was like, okay, well, if I want to do a boutique, then I should just make it Her Closet and have it cater to how I want the woman that I want to be to dress. Mm. Right? So that started because I've always been a fashion girl. So boom, we do the fashion thing. It does well. Like I kept it very catered to like this specific woman. Like I wasn't doing all of like, the other things. I'll just say that. But it was very conservative, but it was fly. It was, for like the fly cool mom, not necessarily, doing, anyway. So fast forward, we go into, so during this time is also when I'm starting to do the work for myself. Okay. Right. So I'm like, okay, I want to be this woman. So I'm reading, I'm journaling. I am every single morning. I'm fueling myself and like starting to create boundaries with people, learning how to say no, and like all of these things that are so important to make sure that you are able to get shit done on a daily basis. Right. I'm starting to do these things and I'm growing and I'm sharing my process. Like when I lived in LA, I didn't know you then. So, but when I lived in LA, I showed like the process. Like I would be reading every morning, kind of similar to how I do now, but I had way more time on my hands. Okay. So I showed way more. And then that evolved into, I think, I know. When I was in LA, I said, you know what? I want to create a journal. I was like, because I'm doing this and it's really working for me. Yeah. So I created the journal. I didn't even think like, people really want this, but I put the journal out and it did really, really well. And I was like, so I guess people really do care about this stuff. Because at the time, people were like, they don't really want to see your kids. Like, they want to see you. You fly, like, get dressed. Like, stop posting your kids so much. Like, people were telling me that. And I was like, damn, really? All right. So when I did the journal and I launched a journal and the journal did well, and I was like, all right. So that's when I started realizing that there was a need for things like this in the space, like for women or whatever. But that was all I did. I put the journal out. It did well. I put it on Amazon. So it's like, all right, if you order it from Amazon, you'll get it. Never really thought anything past it becoming a bigger business. Moved back home. And then I stopped doing everything because I didn't know what I wanted to do. Right. So I just got quiet for like a year. I don't even think I posted on social media for like over a year. And then around COVID, right when I met you, and I was like, all right, well, maybe I'll just, launch the business helping other women. Did that. And that's going really, really well. But at the same time, I started sending emails out to my email subscribers. And it kind of just like, it would be something I went through that week and just like what I learned from it, or like quick productivity hacks, or, habits, ways of creating new habits and setting boundaries. And the response was crazy. Yeah. Like there's a response I would get even when I wasn't sending an email. People were like, sorry, did you stop sending your emails, or did I get off the list or something? And so all that year, and then this year, I'm like, well, it was mostly last year. I'm like, wow, these women really want this information. They really need help. So that's when I launched Her Daily Guide, which is also where I sell the planner that I created. And the planner is literally like my process. And it was my process that I started back in LA. Every week I would have my little notebook. I didn't even use a planner because there was no planner catered to what I needed.
Right.
So I needed my weekly page because every week I wanted to do this. I wanted to map out my week every single Sunday. And then I still wanted my daily pages. So usually most planners either have one or the other. So I launched the planner and the response was amazing again. And then I was just like, okay, I think I'm on to something here. Like, I think these women really want to start changing their lives. And I want to show them, like, I didn't just show up one day and was just like, okay, I plan and I'm the best. Like, I fell off a lot. Yeah. So now we've even got a new part of the business, which is the Circle.
Yes, ma'am.
And the Circle is actually a membership for women to join, and we're going to learn new skills. So I was doing monthly sessions and like teaching different skills that I know. I'm not a coach, but I just like to share information. So now I do that inside the Circle, and it's really just for women to get accountability and like to meet new women and to be around like-minded women, because I was getting a lot of, I just moved here. A lot of people move to different cities and they don't know anybody. And that was me when I moved to LA, and I luckily met a person through DMs that ended up being one of my closest friends to this day. But a lot of women they're nervous, they're shy, or they just more like reserved, like I don't really need, but everybody needs like that support group. So I launched the Circle October 1st. It's been almost a month. Yep. This is the first month. And again, the response is just so good. So I'm excited to just like keep growing it. Yeah. The new planner is coming for 2022.
You forgot the merch.
Oh yeah, there's merch. Yeah, there's the sweatshirts, which I don't have them out, and I keep battling with back and forth. Like people was like, are you bringing out the sweatshirts this season? But oh my God, the cost, the business of it, right? So it's like the supply, like the cost is much higher now, and I don't want to cut down on the quality just to have it out. I'm like, dang, that's a headache. Like, do I really care to deal with that headache? It's just so many things. Like, it's one of the parts of business that you have to be like, all right, is it worth it? Does it make sense to really push this when I have this coming and this going on? So I don't think I'm going to bring the sweatshirts back this season. I know, I'm sorry. I think I just made this decision last night actually, because it just doesn't make sense business-wise right now. But stay tuned. We got some fly shit coming.
Yes, you might could change your mind.
All right.
But with all of that, right? So we know how to plan. We got the Her Daily Guide. You write your weekly goals, your daily goals. What do you say to the woman or the mother that does fall off? Right? Because we're in a space of social media where you have to show up every day. You got to post this type of content. You got to do that. What do you say to the woman who might be dealing with depression or a loss in the family or just something that's traumatic to them who can't show up right now?
Yeah.
You're
going to fall off. Yeah. You're going to fall off. It's impossible to stay on all the time. Like that doesn't even make sense. It's just something that people came up with just because it sounds good and it's something that seems impossible. So they sell that because that's like business too. Like, let's sell the impossible. You have to stay on. You got to post 3 to 5 times a day. And then if I sell this and I make it look like this and I make it look like I'm doing it, then other people are going to really want to accomplish this. And then they're going to pay me because they're going to want to know how I do it. And it's bullshit. Like, you're going to fall off, especially if you're a mom. You're going to have seasons where it's more important to do stuff with your family, or even if you don't have kids, like, you're just going to fall off. It happens. You just have to get back up. You have to come back. Like I said, I didn't post for a year. Even to this day, I don't consistently post on Instagram. I might post like once a week if I feel like it. I think I'm more consistent like with my emails and things of that nature because it's really just like how I'm feeling and things. And it's like, it's very sporadic. But you're going to fall off. But I do also want to say that if you want to be profitable and you want to grow, then you can't fall off all the time. Like, there's times where if it's not just something crazy, you have to push through. Right. Like, there are times where you need to push through. And I feel like if it's something, if you're like stressed out and If it's something health wise, okay, yeah, take some time off or whatever. But outside of that, try to push through. If you get to a point where you're like hitting a wall, then take some time off. But you have to try to push through at the same time. So it's kind of hard, like deciphering, like, okay, is this a time that I take some time off? But what I will say is pray about it. I feel like every time I'm like, all right, God, do I need to just stop doing this? Like, is this not really my lane? Like, maybe I'm tripping. God sends something that shows me literally, like, within hours or a day, and it confirms, like, oh, all right. Cool.
Yeah, let me get back
to work.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's super, super awesome. So, what do you say to a woman who is potentially into productivity, like you, planning? You know, she could be a mom, just a single woman, no kids. How do they, if they don't necessarily have the tools that you have to offer, what are some things, maybe one or two things that they could do to start their days, you know, to get in a rhythm of being productive?
One would be write down. It's really two things.
Okay.
One, at the beginning of every day, write down what you need to do. Review what you need to do for the day, which means you would have had to write it the day before. But review what you need to do. And like it's an overview. So even if you have kids or whatever, and even put dinner in it. The things that get on your nerves, put those things in your to-do list. So you don't have to think about it, right?
So you subconsciously have things you have to do, but you can forget them.
Yeah, exactly.
If it's not written down.
Yep. So just write those things down, and then every single night at around, for me, my alarm goes off on my phone at 8:30, and it tells me to recap my day. So at that point, I look back at what I was supposed to do, and I'm like, okay, you did this, you didn't do this. Why didn't you do this? Is it something that really needs to be done? Or, is it something that you was just trying to do the most and put on your to-do list? If it wasn't, I don't bother to put it on the next day or whatever. If it was something that really needs to get done, then I put it at the top of the to-do list for the next day. And so I just repeat that same cycle. It's like morning and night, I'm looking at what I needed to do. At night, I'm planning what I have to do for tomorrow. And then in the morning, because I like to wake up with a plan. I like to wake up and I already know what I got to do. Because when I wake up and I have to actually think about what I need to do, it takes too much time. I like to wake up and
get going.
Yeah, so those two things, plan it at night, review it in the morning.
Awesome. I love that. So, last question. Be planning, be productive. The one thing that the average woman might forget is carving in date nights, self-care. Explain to the woman watching, where do you carve that in at? How do you carve it in? How do you make that a priority?
I think it all goes back to like before you can do any of this, you have to be very, very clear on who you want to be and the kind of person you want to show up as on a daily basis. Like what's important to you. So it was like, years ago when I started on this journey, I wrote down like the things that are important to me as far as being a mom, the things that are important to me as far as being a wife, the things that are important to me as far as just me, myself. Like I like alone time.
Okay.
Like I will get the fuck on these kids. In my life, I'm like once a year, I'm like, I'm gone. See y'all. So like alone time. Hanging out with my friends, brunch with my friends, getting dressed, like things like that. Like these things are very, very important to me, and I've always been super clear on that. So I think that's the first thing. Like you have to be clear on that.
Make it a priority.
Once you know what you are, like what's important to you, when you start doing that overview of your month, which I do at the end of every month, I plan for the whole next, just an overview, not specific, but I'm like, okay, next month, it's October. I probably want to take the kids to Fright Fest. I want to do brunch with my friends. So I kind of do it in an overview way, so where I'm making sure all of the things that are important are in my month somehow, so that by the end of the month, I've done all the things that make me happy, or all the things that make me feel good. And even outside of like my extremely busy schedule, I've done these things. And I think it just helps with that balance of like the emotional part. Because it's like, okay, like this week has been crazy for me as far as clients. But I know this weekend's coming, and I got, I'm doing some stuff with the kids, and then me and my husband are going on vacation. So it's like, I'm looking forward to it. And I think when you have those things planned out, it makes you okay with having to do all the hard work and the busy work and the long days and all of that. So it's just kind of like making sure you have it spaced out. But you
So you
have to
carved that
know
in
what's
here,
important
too.
to you.
Yeah.
You have to be very clear, like literally written down. If it's getting a facial once a month or whatever it may be, you have to know what those things are so you can make sure that you're doing it every month.
Awesome. Sounds good. All right. So,
does it sound attainable?
Not to me. Not yet. I have to admit that I am the mom that absolutely need these services because I make my child a priority. I think you mentioned something extremely important when you moved to LA, how you didn't have help. That's me right now. You know, I recently moved to Atlanta. It's just me and my child trying to be trusting enough to find a babysitter so I can go and get a facial once a month. Like, it's that heavy mom guilt.
But it's also at the same time of you also saying you work remotely and your kid is in school till like 4 or 5. So technically, during the day, you can make those appointments to do what you need to be done. Because that's what I did. In the evenings, I was always with my kids. So everything that I wanted to do, I did it during the day.
Yeah,
it is attainable.
Well, she got me. So, but
I love to hear the excuse. That's what I'm like, I be like, give it to me, because I'm going to circle back.
I absolutely can be at work and do a lot of things at the same time. So I do appreciate that reminder. I will hold myself accountable. Nice. But I thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
This was amazing. And let the people know again where they can find you, where they can.
I gotta get consistent like the last guest. Let me see. So my Instagram is xocoyas, XOCOYA. My website is herdailyguide.com, and it'll probably be best for you to go to one of those to get to the circle if you want to sign up for the membership, because the circle is actually spelled CI parenthesis HER close parenthesis CLE. So it's still the play on her inside the circle.
Oh, that was amazing. Wow. Thank you so much.
Anytime.
Bye.